Hello. Good day, good morning, good evening, afternoon once again. Welcome to the Everything GM broadcast. It is 8 minutes past 10 here in South Korea. No matter where you are, no matter what time of day it is for you, know that you are welcome here. Whether you're watching the stream in the VOD, whether you're here, whether I'm on in the background, whether you're active in chat, whether you're lurking, it's lovely to have you here. I'm very, very happy to be spending this time with you, and thank you for spending this time with me as well. We're entering a media discussion today, and if you'd like at any point to discuss the media that we are discussing today, or if there's more media, if there's a movie or TV show that you've been wanting to talk about, that you really want to just get out there, this is the place to do it. Today, our main topics, in the absence of anyone requesting something, are Breaking Bad and Andor. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do first. I guess we'll figure it out as we go along. But I have lots to say about both of those shows. I think they are both incredibly well-crafted shows. I am hugely entertained by both of them, and I think they bring a lot to the table when it comes to media literacy that I would like to then disseminate to you if you have not. Maybe there's something you haven't considered, or you have considered it and you're waiting for confirmation from someone else who's come to the same conclusions as you. That's often a lot of what I look for when I look at discussions online and things. I look for anyone who's maybe had the same feelings, or anyone who's had different feelings and can explain those and articulate them correctly, and then I can look at that and be like, that's pretty cool that you had a completely different interpretation. So we're going to talk about that together. For now, sit back, relax, make sure you have a drink in your hand. Make sure you're being kind to yourself. If you haven't given yourself a compliment yet, do so now. And I'm going to move on to something slightly more chilled in a second. I'd love to know your mental health out of 10, your physical health out of 10. Let me know what you're up to, how your day was, what's been going on there, and we'll see. We'll see about each other. We'll connect with each other. It'll be great. Okay. So, my day has been pretty good. My day has been incredibly exhausting, and tomorrow my legs are going to really hate me. Not to mention my feet, but my day has been really, really fun. Jam-packed with stuff. And to think I only did really two things today. The first thing I did was I woke up a little bit earlier, and Hyewon and I went to the Mudang mountain called Mudangsan, which is the main mountain in the city that I live in. It's actually a full-on mountain range. Mudangsan is the highest mountain, but there are like at least 7 or 8 other mountain peaks around that area, just kind of, and they're just on the eastern. They're just in the east of the city, so that the eastern part of the city is just a full mountain range. So it's really cool. It's a beautiful place. You can always see it from wherever you are in the city. And it's not an insanely high mountain. Like I come from Cape Town. Cape Town is my hometown, and Table Mountain is like an iconic thing to see there. Like you can always see Table Mountain. You can't always see Mudangsan from like wherever you are in the city of Gwangju. But from most places you can. And but for Table Mountain, for example, it's like how tall is Table Mountain? How high is Table Mountain? Table Mountain is over 1 kilometer. Wait, you know what? I could be wrong. I think Mudangsan. Mudangsan is taller than Table Mountain? Yo! Mudangsan is taller. That's only by 100 meters, but still, that's a lot. That's awesome. Very cool. So it's actually taller than Table Mountain. I think that speaks to the height of the buildings that you can see in Gwangju. Because you can't always see Mudangsan from where you are. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Anyway, we didn't go to the top of Mudangsan because that would have taken us like 7-8 hours. We went to one of the lower peaks, which is called... What was it called? Hang on, let me go through my photos. It was called... Oh, there we go. Jungmorije. It's called Jungmorije, and it's I don't know what it means, but that's the height. We went 617 meters. There's the proof. There you go. There's the rock. At the top of every at the top of every Korean mountain peak, there is a stone that tells you, "Good job, you reached the top of the mountain," and then you can take a picture next to the stone. It's really, really cool. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It was good. Excuse me. It was good. It was a lot of fun. It absolutely killed our legs, as you can see, as Hewan has burning thighs, and I do too. I'm feeling them right now. Like, my muscles are definitely not happy with me, but it was fun. It felt like the 7,000 steps to High Hrothgar. I said that in Discord already, but it really did. It was just stairs. All the way up, it was stairs. And then you have to come down those stairs. And they're not even stairs. They're stones that have been laid in a pattern that makes stairs. And they're not perfect. You have to do a lot of climbing. So it's like, or at least leg climbing, not like with your hands. So it was crazy. It was really, really crazy. But when you get to the top, it's like amazing. It's really, really amazing. Because they design it that the top staircase, like, you come out at the top and it's just fully open. It's just this big mountain peak. And they've cut away all the trees. You can just see everything. It's freaking awesome. So yeah, I love it. I thought it was an amazing time. And then we went all the way back down and did some grocery shopping. And then we carried all the groceries home, made some delicious dinner, and now I'm here. And that was it. That was my day. It was very, very good. Just very exhausting. Hello, Aracheesy. Hello, Rain. Hello, Thomas. Productive out of 10. Very good. No election talk. Thank God. I've dodged all news outlets the entire day. I can't watch. Yeah, I can talk. You want me to talk about the election? I can. I've been watching. I think, is it election day today? Like, is it now? American election day, for the record. I know that America is the world, according to the mainstream, but it is actually one country, even though they are the, or at least they have advertised themselves to be the main character of the world. They're having their election today, and their two candidates are way closer than anyone would expect. Because, I mean, it shouldn't show you... I think, in addition to showing you how fascistic American society is becoming, I think it should really show you how shitty Democrats are now. Like, how they just cannot win. They just can't win elections. I don't know if they're gonna win, though. It's like, I don't know, but it's close. It's close. And that's mainly because, well, it's because of a lot of things, really. I'm not going to get into it, though. It's not a political stream today. But if you are following the American election, I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. Wait, there's more than one country? I know, it's crazy. So crazy. It's an election that'll have a lot of influence in my country, regardless of the USA being an entirely different country. Yes, and same for me. And look, the reason I always talk about America as being like, they're a country, like they're one country, there are lots of countries in the world, is because I want to slowly re-educate, or I want to slowly like reprogram my own narrative about how, you know, America is everyone and everyone is America, which is what they've done. Obviously, it's by their design. But I'm aware of how much influence they have materially. So yeah, don't worry. My parents will definitely be talking about the American election. My family will definitely be following it. Yeah. In 2016, when Trump first went for president, a whole branch of my family was coming out and talking about how cool Hillary Clinton was, and I was like, yeah. Okay. So, I got drunk on tequila the day after he won in 2016, before I went on stage in a musical. Jesus, Thomas. Goodness. That's awful. It was a bet. We said we'd drink tequila before we went on stage if you won. I mean, props to you for respecting the bet. Okay. So, without further ado, let's start off with something fun. We're going to talk about some media. What do you guys want to talk about first? Do you want to... I mean, I've watched Andor and I've watched Breaking Bad. I've watched Breaking Bad up to season 3, episode 6? 6, maybe? I think I finished episode 6, like, earlier. Let me confirm. I will confirm. I think it's important because a lot of stuff happens in each episode, so you kind of got to be sure. Oh god, that's Arcane advertising itself to me.
My name is Walter
My name is Walter Hargrave White.
My name is Walter
Hartley White?
My name is Walter Hartwell White.
Hartwell White. There we go. Yeah, season 3. I have watched. Yeah, 6. I finished 6 today. Yeah. So so I've been on Breaking Bad for a long time. I've been watching it now for the last couple of weeks with Hyeon. She's watched it already, and then she persuaded me to watch it. So now we're watching it together, and we're really, really enjoying it. And then in between that time, my Netflix broke on our TV. It wouldn't let me watch. It will only let me watch on my laptop, which is very weird because both my laptop and my TV are in the same country, and Netflix tells me that I'm away from the household, but it will still let me watch on my laptop, which is very weird. I'm not going to say that too loudly or too many times because otherwise they will hear me and then they will stop broadcasting it. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're still watching it, but in the meantime, there was a bit of awkwardness where we couldn't watch it or we didn't think we could. So we watched Andor again, which is the second time I've seen it, and I'm gonna talk about both of them. I would love to know what you guys think about them, and yeah, that'll be. I think we'll get started with. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we should start? Do you want to talk about Breaking Bad or do you want to talk about Andor? Jesse, we need to cook. Yes. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Fucking United States healthcare system. Okay. Yeah, it depends on you guys. What do you feel like? Don't ever let anyone tell you this isn't a democracy, you know? Goodness. I've also been playing some more Sea of Thieves. Just a little bit. Arachizi. Arachizi, if you're here. I took, I needed a sloop. So I hope you don't mind, because you pledged it to the guild. I hope you don't mind that I took yours out for a spin quickly while I grabbed a chest. And I will be. A hole was put in it by skeletons. It didn't sink, but I'll just patch up the hole when I get back on, and yeah. So don't worry. I broke it, so I'll fix it. The skeletons are fucking snipers. Let me tell you, they don't. It's crazy how accurate they are. No, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. You said it's in the guild for a reason. I'll repair it, I promise. It's just a little hole. It might be more than one. They kept hitting me. And then I thought I'd go around to the other island. It was a skeleton. It wasn't a ship. It was a skeleton mounting a cannon on an island. And it hit me. First time as well. Like, I was moving. And it still let its target sufficiently to hit me. And then, yeah, and then I was like, okay, cool, let me go around to the other side of the island. And the skeleton was like, bet, because I've got a friend on the other side of the island, also with a cannon. And then he put another hole in the ship. It was awful. Okay. A little bit. Listen, I know we've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. I meant like in the last day or two. I've been playing a little bit for real because I've got back to normal life. I don't think you understand how rare it was that I could play the amount of time that I did on Sea of Thieves. Breaking Bad, maybe it's more grounded in reality. Might be nice to finish with the lighter topic. Okay, well, I mean, Andor is a story about revolution, so... But yeah, we can talk Breaking Bad first. We can do Breaking Bad first. Hello, Alex. Good thing holes are only cosmetic once repaired. I mean, yes, as well they should be. I think it would be very... it would be a little bit punishing. More punishing than just having a regular hole in your ship. That's a skill issue. I almost never get hit by the island cannon skellies. I mean, same, but you get hit once and you get called bad, apparently. I didn't tell you how often a problem it is. I'm just saying they're very accurate. But yeah. Okay. We're going to move to... Yeah, we're going to talk about Breaking Bad first. Yeah, we're going to talk about Breaking Bad first. If anyone has seen Breaking Bad, this is going to be a spoiler warning for those who haven't seen Breaking Bad. So if you want to, I'm going to quickly alter the... Hang on. I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to do some movie talk. I'm going to make this movie talk. And I'm going to kind of reduce this to the size of the poster, like I did for the last discussion we had. And then I'll have it up here on the side. And then I'll put my face over here, because it's literally almost perfect, which is really cool. Which of course means that, yeah, I could just do this. This would be great. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Hold on. Actually, no, I'm gonna do this. Wait. I'm gonna do that and extend it there, and then I'm gonna extend it here, and that will be how we do things. This will be movie time. I wonder if I can put some text in here, because if I can put some text, yeah, I can put some text. Okay, this will be spoiler warning, and the text is going to be, yeah, select font. Let's make it Arial. It'll be bold. It'll be regular Arial. And it'll be spoiler. Can you guys see this happening? Up to season 3, episode 6. Yeah. And yeah, we can do the color. We can... Oh, there can be a background color? Nice. Let me make that... Let me make it black, if possible. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Okay. Wait, can we outline the... Ooh. Ooh, no. This will be better. This will be better. Let me outline the... Oh, outline size needs to be bigger. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. That looks great. Okay, maximum outline. Okay, cool. I'll make it smaller in a second. I'm just gonna set it up. This is how we do things. Okay, maybe I should make a different type of font, like... The size is 256? No, dude. 72 is probably better. Ooh, that's a nice one. Yeah, let's select that font. Let's go with Arial's pretty good. Ooh, Comic Sans. We should definitely use Comic Sans, right? What an incredible what an incredible Diogenes thing to do. I think I'll go with I think I'll go with this. This one's pretty good. Yeah, I like this font. It's a nice one. Okay. Awesome. We'll just kind of make this right here. And we'll put it fully in the center. Yeah, right in the center. Yeah, here we go. Okay. And we can also change it. Yeah. Okay, cool. We get to talk about Breaking Bad. Let's go. All right. Got hit specifically for my ship. I see how it is. Sea of Thieves is 110 gigs. Yeah, dude. It's crazy. Man, it's a good thing MJ has streamer mode on. I just accidentally joined the Discord chat. What? Oh, really? Interesting. Okay, let me tell you. So, from this moment, this is now your spoiler warning for Breaking Bad up to and including Season 3, Episode 6, which is entitled Sunset. That is the moment. Spoiler warning again. 3, 2, 1. Cool. That, Season 3, Episode 6 is the moment that Gustavo Fring goes to the twins, meets them at sunset, and tells them what I thought he was going to tell them, which is that Walter White didn't actually kill Tuco. Hank did, Walter's brother-in-law. And so instead of killing Walter, why not just kill Hank? Now, that's where I made it up to. So I know what the twins are, I know who they are, I know what they do, I know they're terribly dangerous, I know they're incredibly scary. They barely speak. In fact, this episode was the first time they've spoken. So that was cool. I also love how entire scenes happen in Spanish, which is awesome, really cool, because when characters have no reason to speak English, they will speak their native language, and I love that. I think that's really, really cool. And yeah. Do I need to have seen it to understand the discussion? I think with the things I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the themes that the show has. You don't strictly have to have seen it if you want to participate in the theme discussion. Like if you've seen something, maybe if you've seen something else that has similar themes to Breaking Bad, then you can bring that up and you can be like, hey, I've seen something that sounds exactly like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't exclude you necessarily just because you haven't seen it, but obviously having seen it gives you more of an insight into what's going on. So yeah. Narco's done that as well. There'd be almost entire episodes in Spanish. So much reading, but was awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Wait, doesn't Tuco die way back in season 1? Am I just remembering a clip and editing it in my memory? No, he dies. He dies in season 1, a long time ago. And this is what's so awesome about the crafting of the story and the overall narrative in Breaking Bad, because now revenge for killing Tuco is coming back to bite Walter, Jesse, and Hank in season 3 already. And they are building this narrative where Gus Fring is so at the top of his game and his territory is so vast that of course he knows about Tuco. Of course he's connected with the cartels down below, south of the border. Of course he knows about the twins coming to try and kill Walter. Like it's really cool how the narrative gets spun like that. Like we have this new character called Gus Fring, but they position it so that he's actually been around for the whole time. We just haven't seen him yet because Walter hasn't gotten big enough yet. It's awesome. It's really cool. So there are a couple of things I want to talk about regarding Breaking Bad. And the first one is how complex the plots are. Breaking Bad has this... Oh yeah, Giancarlo Esposito is amazing. Breaking Bad has this incredible ability to create a narrative that is so, number one, realistic and understandable. Number two, anxiety-inducing all the way. Number three, complex. But number four, complex in a way that still makes sense. At no point, even at the end of season 2, and I'll explain what I mean because season 2 ended in an insane capacity. Nowhere in the show have I ever felt, this is weird, I can't suspend my disbelief far enough for this. It all makes complete sense as you watch it, which I think is so awesome. And what is cool about that is that they push that boundary. They're like, how much crazy shit can we pull that still makes sense in the narrative that we're creating? That's what I love about the show. One of the many things. Not even going into the narrative themes, but just the overall kind of the overall arc of narratives and stories and the way the characters kind of cross each other. I'll talk about the characters in a second, but But the show so far is just incredible for that. One of those, for that reason, amongst others. So, for example, you've got a drug. I'm going to assume that everyone here has watched it, but in the case of like someone like Arachizi, I'll give a short rundown if it's been a while. Also, if it's been a while, if you've watched it, and if you need a small refresher. So, obviously, we're dealing with someone who makes drugs in an effort to pay for his cancer treatments, but it soon becomes much more than that, and he becomes addicted to it. And we'll talk about it in a second. He never does any of the drugs, but he becomes addicted to the idea of doing it, of making it. And there's lots of themes that you can talk about why he does the things that he does. But Walter White in this case. But for now, just know that in season 2, these two characters here that you see are on the left. You got Walter, and in front of him with the gun behind his back, you got Jesse. And these guys cook meth together for the first season. Then they go through a bit of a domestic and a bit of a turmoil. And in season 3, they're currently not on good terms. But the narrative keeps drawing them back together in incredibly cool ways. Yeah, they're basically partners. At the moment, they're not partners, but it's complicated. They have an interesting relationship. Basically, to give you a quick rundown, Jesse found... This happened in season 2, at the end of season 2, and this is an example of a plot that went balls to the wall, off the rail. In the beginning of season 2, and almost every episode since then, for the first couple of minutes, we get a small shot, black and white only, of Walter's pool. Inside the pool, there's a teddy bear. Then there's glasses. And slowly, as episodes develop, those first couple of minutes, it's showing us the future. We know that already because they've built that up as something that they do in the first season as well. They do that kind of future programming thing. And then they flip the script on you because they're like, oh, you thought it was going to be this. It's actually this. So season 2, they do this for the whole season. It's the same scene again and again and again. And they show you the teddy bear in the pool. And then the next couple of episodes, they show that it pulls out to glasses. And we're like, oh shit, this is Walter's house. Oh no, he's getting found out for drugs. It's all coming apart. It's all getting completely foobar. And then it shows Walter's car. And it shows a cracked windscreen. And it shows body bags next to it and people moving. That's like the final episode. I'm like, what is going on? What's wrong with their house? Like, what happened there? How are they going to explain this? Is it all over? Do people die? And we think it has something to do with the specific nature of Walter dealing drugs. It does, but not in any capacity that you think it does. So let me explain to you, and I'll spoil to you how season 2 works. Jesse starts dating someone. Kristen Ritter is the actress's name. She's amazing. She plays someone called Jane, who's a recovering addict, and through Jesse has trouble getting over the death of a friend. And because Jesse's a drug addict, he turns to drugs, and Jane relapses with him, and they do heroin together. While on a cycle of heroin, Walter finds them, gets really mad, does a deal without Jesse while he's high on heroin, a really big deal with Gus Fring. It's like his first deal. And then Jesse's like, yo, dude, we cooked the meth together. What do you mean? I want half my money. And Walter says, no, I'm not going to give you your money until you get sober. I'm not giving you money until you get clean. And Jesse's like, well, screw you, man. But Walter's like, I'm not giving you the money. So Jesse leaves. Jesse's girlfriend, who is now on this drug bender with him and who has relapsed already, she phones Walter and she says, you give Jesse his money or I'm going to out you because I know everything about you. I'm going to report you as a drug dealer and you'll go down. Walter calls her bluff and hands her the money. Then they say, on that moment, in that episode, they say, we can use this money, we can go wherever we want, we're done with drugs, we're going to get clean, we just need to flush this last heroin that we have and not use it. But of course, because they're addicts, they use the heroin. They use the heroin and they go to bed. Throughout this episode, there are 2 times where it is foreshadowed that you should be careful about being in a vulnerable state and lying on your back, because if you throw up, things could happen. Now, when they're both conked out on heroin, Walter comes to the house. He is coming to flush the heroin and to try and get Jesse clean. Jesse and Jane are fully high. They are sleeping, passed out in the bed. When Walter tries to wake Jesse up, he moves Jane. Jane moves onto her back. She starts throwing up. Jesse can't do anything. He's unconscious. And Walter literally looks at this bed and watches it happen. Because he doesn't want Jesse to kind of he thinks that it's a bad influence for Jesse. So, here's the thing. This is gonna be a slight trigger warning for, obviously by now it's Breaking Bad, right? It's a drug abuse show. So substance abuse, death of a child, and not a child, an adult, but someone's child, and also the trauma surrounding death and grieving and stuff. I'm not going to go into it like explicitly, but I'll explain again. All of this is to explain how crazy the plot is. So from this moment, she's now dead. Jesse finds her. She has a dad who's coming to find her as well. He's been in the picture for a little while. The dad finds her. He goes into shock. He doesn't say anything. He grieves quietly, right? He doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. Does nothing. Cool. Awesome. He goes back. He goes home. We don't hear from him again for a while. Then at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, the dad goes back to work. And we see this. And we're like, wait, what's happening? Why is he going back to work? And we slowly learn at the end of season 2, while he's been grieving for his daughter, he goes back to work as an air traffic controller. And because he's grieving and he doesn't know how to deal with things, he literally misnames a plane. He names a plane his daughter instead of what the plane's name is. It was like Juliet Mike, and he named it Jane Mike. And through his actions, 2 planes crash above the area of Albuquerque that the story happens. And debris from the plane and, passenger belongings and things start falling into like people's houses. It's very traumatic. It's a super traumatic event. Everyone like loses their mind over it. It's crazy. And the last thing you see is a teddy bear hitting the pool. And Walter looks down at it. That's how they weave the plots together. So we're thinking that Walter's been caught. Walter and his wife are dead now. Something's gone wrong. And then there's that. And then 2 planes crash. And they fall. And debris starts falling to the ground. And that's why we've seen that thing. But it's also the causative chain leads back to Walter. Walter watched Jane die. He essentially killed her because he turned her on her back and then she started throwing up. Then through that, the father didn't know how to grieve properly. He has a stressful job. One of the most stressful jobs, by the way, is an ATC person, like an air traffic controller. And then he crashes 2 planes. So the causative link to Walter is there. It makes fully, complete sense for the narrative. And that's the kind of show that this is. That's the kind of show that this is. They are so good with how they put their narratives together and how they weave their plot threads. It's an absolutely incredible moment there. Yeah. So I really, 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 really enjoyed it. And it's only going up from here. It is only going up. More intense. Yeah. So that is what that is what I'm talking about when I say complex plots. Yeah. I love the fact Gus was intended as a one and done, but then ended up as a recurring off the back of Esposito's incredible performance. Really? I didn't know that at all. Because I mean, he was incredible. He was absolutely incredible. And I really wish Netflix weren't a bunch of demonetized words and decided to stop password sharing. Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay. Vince Gilligan knows where the line is. He knows when to cross it, and he only does it when it's absolutely necessary. Yeah. He does crazy shit, but it still makes sense, It's awesome. The show has to consistently make situations to make him keep making drugs because he's pretty much set by the end of season 1. As I watch the show, it doesn't feel like they are coming up with reasons to make him make more drugs. it feels like the consequences of his initial drug making are coming back to get him. And it's one of the main themes that once you start down a certain path, it's really difficult to extricate yourself from it when you want to. There is no leaving the drug game. If you are into it and you are good enough, people won't let you leave just because of circumstances, you know? So yeah. It's really like to me the narrative never feels like it's forced. It never feels it never feels like the reasons why he's going back to make drugs again are forced. Yeah, exactly. Chili powder, baby. Oh god. I'd watched Jessica Jones immediately before Breaking Bad really threw me. Hewan watched Breaking Bad and then watched Jessica Jones, and she was like, wait, this is the same person. It's crazy. Kristen Ritter has range. That's true. Yeah. I think season 2 starts giving him reasons, but then he gets hooked and never wants out. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And also, he finds them. Like, Walter looks for them. It's not like he says he's out, but you can tell he's hooked. He is addicted on that. And I will get into why as well. There are lots of reasons why Walter becomes addicted to cooking meth. Teddy bear, chances are a kid was on that flight. Something, Walt knows he killed another child, but this time an actual child along with others. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No. Try to say it in a better way. Couldn't figure it out. I get it. Walter keeps digging himself deeper for reasons. Absolutely. I need to pay for my cancer treatment. Well, what if I die? I need to leave something for them. I should pay for their college too, so on. Yes. Season 1 already defines the kind of character Walter's going to be. Season 1, he talks to Jesse. When Jesse asks him, how much do you need? And he says, more. That's it. It's never enough for him. It's never, ever enough. It's always about more money. But it's not just about the money, though. It's not just about the money. And I'm going to get now into the second part of my analysis of Breaking Bad, and that is masculinity and the patriarchy. We're going into it, baby! Walter White is a typical emasculated, like, middle-aged, midlife crisis family man, right? He has a nuclear family, wife and 2 kids. I mean, 1 kid in the beginning and then a second one. But he shows almost all of the traits of being toxically masculine. He is outright sexist in a lot of the episodes that we see him, but the theme of how men behave and are socialized to behave in society is very clear in this show. Not just through Walter. It's through Walter, it's through Hank very specifically, and it is outright stated by Gus Fring in season 3. I think episode 4 or something. When Gus Fring convinces Walter to come back to cook, he uses the line that connects to Walter's heart immediately, and he says, "A man must provide for his family." That's the line he uses, and that's the line that pushes Walter over the edge and gets him to go back and cooking meth for Gus. That's it. It's not about the money. It was about the money. And then it became more about, this is my duty as a man. It doesn't matter how I get the money, just so long as my family is looked after, because that's my job as a man. And I would like all men in this chat to reflect on that statement and how toxic it really is and how it lends itself to this sort of behavior. Because we constantly see the way that men interact on this show in a way that is not really emotionally healthy or productive at all. As Alfred is saying, isn't there constant emasculation from Hank to Walter? Yes. Not anymore because Hank's off the frickin' deep end at this point. But from season 1, we constantly see that Hank emasculates Walter all the time. Like, everything he says to him, it's a control thing, right? He feels he has control over Walter. Another theme, I'm going to talk about control as we go. That's something that I didn't write down. I should, yeah. Because it relates to this. but it is masculinity and it is patriarchy. That is one of the main running themes that explains why male characters do what they do and why the women also do what they do. Because patriarchy affects everyone. Remember, it's not just about how we socialize men. Remember that men are socialized and men are praised for amongst other things, their economic ability, their ability to earn a living, their ability to bring home money, their ability to provide financially for their family. Men are not praised for emotional maturity. They are not praised for feeling things. They are not praised for a stable mental health. They are not praised for beauty or anything on the level that women are. Men are praised for their monetary making, their money-making ability. They are praised for their earning power. Their earning power is commodified, basically. And so you see that in this show, all the men in it show that kind of vibe. It's really, really well done as well. It's really well done. So, and it culminates in, it's always kind of subtle, but in the end, it culminates with Gus literally telling Walter, a man provides for his family, and you're going to do that. Whether or not you are respected or loved, you're going to do it because it's your duty as a man. And I can't think of anything more unhealthy for Walter. Like, it is partially the reason for everything he does. It is also partially the reason that he completely turns on when his son starts to make a fund for him, and he's like, "That's charity. That's awful." That's masculinity. That's toxic masculinity. Believing that you are unable, that you are undeserving of charity. Believing that you have to do it all yourself because it's your job as a man to provide for your family. It's your job as a man to pay for your own shit. It's not just patriarchy, though. I'm going to use this as a little stepping stone. It's also capitalism. Isn't that crazy? Now, obviously, that's an element that I can talk about for ages, but the mentality that you have to do everything on your own, while also sitting in a chair that was not made by you, speaking into a microphone that was definitely not made by you, illuminated by a light that was not made by you, and listening to music that was not written by you. We are constantly, every second of every day of our lives, relying on other people to survive. We rely on other people all the time. And Walter, Walter and other people like Walter, we are taught that it is only that stuff doesn't matter. It's the money that comes in, the cold hard cash that we use to pay for everything ourselves. We have to pay for everything ourselves. That's it. And it's just, yeah, it's very, very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. And that instinct justifies a lot. In his mind, in Walter's mind, it explains and justifies everything that he does, among other things. Skylar White, the only reasonable person in this show, and yet the fandom villainizes her. I wonder why that could possibly be. I could talk about Skylar. Isn't there like... Yeah, I read that. Further than that, men are actively demonized if they show emotion. They're treated as lesser, because after all, men don't cry, etc. Yes, exactly. And you'll find that because of that, Walter does not know how to console anyone. He doesn't know how to give advice to people. He doesn't know anything except how to control them and how to exert power over them, because that's all he's been taught. He has been taught a world of power, and that's it. Skylar is also affected by the patriarchy in other ways, and in her role as a woman, obviously. But yeah, we could talk about her as well. I can definitely talk about her. Oh, hey, we reached the capitalism with the real villain all along point. I mean, among others, isn't it always? My name is Skylar White. Yo, boom, fine boom sound. My husband is Walter White. Yo, boom. Uh-huh, boom. You guys know that meme with the Vine boom? Every time she says yo. Okay, so Yeah, let's go from patriarchy, and we'll talk about a specific character. Let's talk about Skylar. I knew that the fandom villainized Skylar. I knew that they turned her into, like, they said that the decisions she makes are stupid. Skylar is one of the biggest victims in the whole show. And she does what she does to try to maintain her own sense of happiness as her life falls apart and her husband becomes a drug dealer. I don't know if this is... I don't know if this has sunk in to those to people who believe that Skylar is in any way a villain. Now, of course, I haven't finished the show, so she might turn into something later down the line. But from season 3, episode 6, all I'm seeing is a woman trying to make the best out of an absolutely, like, unimaginably fucked situation. Like, Walter has ruined her. Walter White's actions have turned her world upside down, made her an accessory to cooking meth and to like a class A felony because it's meth. And what else is she supposed to do? It's crazy. Her life has been completely destroyed by him. And people will still think that she is somehow a villain? She's absolutely not. I understand maybe she makes choices, and of course, this is up to the episode that I have seen. But so far, what I have seen from Skylar is not villainous. I don't see... She makes, I will say, the only bad decision, and it's not bad, it's subjective. The only decision she makes where I go, I mean, if you make this decision, we don't have a TV show anymore. She makes the decision to out Walter as a drug dealer when she heard about it. As soon as she heard about it, and she didn't report it, that's it. I think that when she agreed tacitly to lie to protect him, I think that would have been the only thing that continues all of this. One of the only things that, like, leads to its continuance, because she, at any point, she could ruin him, and that's it, and we could be done. The problem is, of course, Hank is affected by that. Walter Jr. is affected by that, etc. All his money goes away. So there are material consequences for that. Yeah. But make no mistake, and this is something that I'm going to talk about at the end, Walter White is the villain. He is the villain of the story. He's not a hero. He's a protagonist, but he's not a hero. I don't believe in good and bad people. He makes a series of choices that has disastrous consequences for everyone around him. He is a villain in the story. Don't give marijuana to my husband. Yeah. And it's not just her husband. Her sister's awful. Her brother's awful. Yeah. Skylar is the only normal one in the whole extended family. It's crazy. Hank is one of the most toxic men I've ever met in my life. He's also racist, like very racist. And he has an anxiety problem that he doesn't deal with because he's a man. He's been taught that he's not supposed to deal with that kind of shit. And then his wife is a kleptomaniac, for which she's getting help, which is fine. But she also has no idea how to show up emotionally for Skylar. I do think, though, I think her name is Mary. Skylar's sister Mary has done a lot of development over the series. By the time of season 3, I actually quite like her. I actually think she's okay. Even when I watched the show, all at like 17, 18, I understood what they were saying with Skylar. It's so clear she's unambiguously the victim here. Walter's doing so many crimes, and yet she's the villain because she's the one trying to hold him to account in his actions and protect herself and their family. I think this is what happens when... Remember, when I talk about the patriarchy, a lot of people might look at the show and not have that takeaway at all. And that is because of how deeply ingrained Walter's actions and Hank's actions are seen as fully normal. Like, the things they say, the way they treat each other, the things they do, the way they justify how they act, that is seen as completely normal male behavior by a lot of people. That is what is seen as regular. One of the things that the show does very well is believability. The plot, the characters are very believable. Their actions are very believable. And so I imagine that a lot of people, especially if they haven't done a lot of work in reprogramming how they look at the world and how the world is really constructed, a lot of people might look at that and go, I see nothing wrong with this. What do you mean? Walter is just providing for his family. I'm sure a lot of people have said that. It is not productive to call those people stupid. I know no one has said that, but I'm just putting it out there that, like, people who have different interpretations of a TV show, if they are based on assumptions that would lead them to not notice something in a TV show that is very glaringly there, that doesn't make them dumb for not seeing it. What I do is I'm explaining why they might believe that, because they themselves are probably subscribing to those beliefs as well. And so they don't see anything wrong with Walt being a toxic man, or Hank being a toxic man to Walt as well. She sounds like she should grab some of her husband's stash. She tries to. She's at the beginning of season 3, or like, yeah, she's at a divorce lawyer, and the divorce lawyer is like, "Are you serious? You're trying to spend the cash? Like, what do you mean? Do you want to be more of an accessory? That's insane." Skylar goes really out of her way to try and help Walter at times, like, as opposed to turning him in. Like, she hates the situation but clings on because she feels the man she loves is still there deep down. Yeah. Yes. And absolutely. It's a great analysis. I think part of it is that she still does love him. She definitely still does love him, and she doesn't want to throw everything away, even though she is disgusted by him. Remember, if she didn't love him, she would have reported him. If she didn't love, the people around her who are treating her badly, she would have reported Walt. But she does love him. She wants to maintain her family. And that's the real tragedy of it all, Without the drug dealing aspect specifically, I know of a lot of family situations that end in divorce like this, but that are so messy because one partner is doing something awful and the other partner is trying to bring them back because they care about them. Skylar is doing the same thing with Walter. I love when shows have that one signal, regular, functional person and everyone else is just utterly unhinged, for lack of a better word. Bearing in mind, Skylar does some unhinged stuff as well, but at least for her, it's slightly more... She's more reactive. Like, the unhinged stuff she does is a reaction. So, yeah. I have now put together Darth Jar Jar. Incredible. Post. So, yeah, that's Skylar, that's masculinity, that's patriarchy. Let's talk about control and power. Control and power is another huge theme in this show. It is it is the reason that Walter keeps Jesse around until he doesn't need him. It is the way that almost everyone treats Jesse as a character. Jesse is the one who is controlled, who is manipulated. It is the way Gus treats Walter. It is the way Walter treats his wife. It is the way Hank treats Walter. It's the way that so many main characters speak to each other and treat each other is based on differences and hierarchies in control and power. Walter, in season 1, let's say, Walter feels a complete lack of control. I mean, he says as much. He literally says when the family has that intervention for him. Walter says, Walter says that he's felt like in his entire life he's made no decisions for himself. So, he means as a man, amongst other things, also, things like capitalism, a lot of the way that society is structured has put expectations on Walt, have taken choices away from him, have taken opportunities. And he decides, I'm going to take control back. I recognize meth is worth a lot of money, I'm going to do it. He doesn't think about all the lives he might destroy with the meth that he makes, but he just thinks, I'm taking back control in my life. It's a very selfish way to take back control, but it is a way to take back control. So Walt is doing his best. You can see that before he does it, everyone in his life constantly talks to him like he's not even there. They put him down, and he's too meek-mannered to really stand up, right? But then when he starts making meth, he gets a taste of control, he gets a taste of power, he starts killing people, and Heisenberg comes out, this alter ego. Not a different person, it's still Walt, but as his alter ego starts to shine, he starts to realize, hey, I like this feeling of power, I like this feeling of control, I like taking it back for myself, and because he didn't take control back for his life in a healthy way, now he entertains this self-destructive behavior and this destructive behavior for the people around him. For many reasons, one such reason that Walt does the things that he does is control. And a lot of the actions that other characters take are also attempts to take control back. Skylar has an affair with Ted, her boss, when she finds out that Walter is dealing drugs and won't divorce her and is manipulating her in an attempt to stay home and be with her in the same house, even though she wants nothing to do with him, and she's desperately trying to protect him. She has an affair as an attempt to take back control for herself. It's a way to take back that power that Walt took away from her in their relationship. Remember, a relationship must be mutual. It must have mutual cooperation and collaboration from both parties at all times, otherwise it doesn't work. And Walt, by cooking meth, not telling her about it, and then lying to her constantly, took away that power. He took that power imbalance and he put him at the top and her all the way at the bottom. And she has an affair as an attempt to react to that and to bring it back to some semblance of normality. And it actually does work, which is quite interesting. It's very interesting how that works. Again, it's about power. Hank goes completely off the deep end because he starts by emasculating Walt and inadvertently creating a power hierarchy there. When Walt starts becoming Heisenberg, that leaks into his relationship with Hank, and he starts moving against Hank. Hank doesn't like that. Hank takes that out on his work. He starts becoming obsessed with Heisenberg. He goes to El Paso in Texas, and he has something incredibly traumatic happen to him when, you know, everyone gets blown up with the tortoise bomb. And he comes back. He doesn't deal with that at all. He doesn't go to therapy. He doesn't get mandated psychological treatment. He doesn't talk about it with anyone. Nothing. And that only makes his obsession worse and worse. In that moment, he loses all of his power. And his obsession with Heisenberg is an attempt, among other things, to gain back that control, to gain back that power that was lost, not only when the traumatic situation happened, but also when Walter started standing up for himself because he was dealing drugs in the background. His obsession with Heisenberg is ironically enough tied to his relationship with Walter, just in so much more of a complex way than he imagines, because obviously Heisenberg is Walter White. So that's really interesting. Hank does a lot of things for power. He does a lot of things for control. And that's another reason why control and power is such a huge deal. Just open bag 11 out of 17. That's awesome. Do you have all of the dark side characters from that pack? Like Darth Rose and Darth Ray? The advice that Walt Jr. gets all the time? Yes. Walt sucks at giving advice. All the advice he gives to his son is about taking power back, taking control back. It's quite wild. It's pretty wild. I've heard some killing referred to as the ultimate form of control. I mean, yeah, killing someone is the ultimate. It is an ultimate form of control. It is taking power away from someone in the most absolute way, and holding all the power in a situation, holding absolutely all of the power. Yeah. Another justification of Walt's is people are going to smoke meth anyway. I might as well put out a clean product. The other cook that he has, I think this happens in episode 6. He meets the new cook, the one that's going to be his Jesse, and he connects with the guy. And they have this connection because the other guy's like, people are going to smoke meth, so I might as well make sure they smoke it without any of the toxins inside, right? and Walt's like, oh my god, a kindred spirit, finally. So yeah, you're right. That's fully why one of the justifications he uses for making meth. Not understanding that you are simply perpetuating it. Like, you are making the problem worse by putting out, almost, not by putting out cleaner meth, but like, by making more of it. Like, you're ensuring that there's more meth in circulation, right? The bad meth doesn't just go away because there's good meth on the street, right? Especially if you make it expensive. If you make the good meth expensive, you cut out a lot of the poorest of the population from achieving the high that the good meth provides. They're going to stick with the bad meth anyway. Oh, cool, Alfred. You have all the minifigures. Okay, sick. I can't wait. Can't wait till you show it. Okay. So that's power and control. Do you remember the other cook's name? I'm seeing the face and I can't remember the name at all. It's the dude. Gale. I think his name is Gale. I can't remember his surname, but it's Gale. Yeah. I think he's dead. I don't know yet because we met him in this episode, so no spoilers. But I think he looks like a dead person. I don't know how to explain it really, but some characters, when you meet them, they just look like they're gonna die. And he just looks like he looks like his days are numbered. I'm sorry. I mean no offense to the actor. He's doing a phenomenal job at creating like a mirror for Walt, but I think he's dead. The dude, Big Lebowski himself. Yeah, the dude. Big Lebowski, another movie I haven't seen. All right. So we talked about control and power. I like to think the theme of capitalism causing many of these issues is obvious, but just in case it isn't, there are a lot of ways that the economic system creeps its way in. First of all, the US healthcare system. In a very obvious way, this is the catalyst for the entire show. The US healthcare system, not just the US healthcare system and how expensive it is regarding people's treatment because it is so heavily privatized, thanks to capitalism, but it is also the way the US healthcare system is not set up to adequately treat and deal with drug abuse instances. So it is a twofold medical system failure. The first one is treating Walt's cancer and how it's too expensive and forcing people to take drastic action to pay for their own lives, to pay to continue living. And secondly, it is because of the commodification of drugs and the way that the American government has cracked down on the drug industry, treating it as a punitive issue and not as a mental health issue, which it absolutely is. That allows the drug industry to fully privatize. A huge black market arrives, and of course, under capitalism, free market trade goes along, baby. That's just how it works. So I think in those moments, the US healthcare system is, obviously we know it's fundamentally and fully broken, absolutely crazy how it works over there, because it is so heavily privatized. But yeah, that is one of the main reasons that is one of the main ways that capitalism infects this particular show and is such a running theme for it. Another way that it is a theme is that I alluded back to it when I was talking about patriarchy, but when Walt's son makes a fund for him to raise money for his cancer, and Walter, it takes him so long just to anonymously move money through that way so that his family can access it. He says it's charity, and he says it like it's a disgusting word. Skylar calls him out on it. She says, "Why do you say it like it's a dirty word?" And that is because, for many reasons. Number one, we are taught that all the money we make has to be made by ourselves. And if we are given any money, we are asking for handouts, and that's a bad thing. We are trying to make it by on the backs of other people, and that's somehow a bad thing. Again, sitting in a chair, talking to a microphone, etc. Not made by me. It is the belief that we have to do everything ourselves, and if we don't, we are weak. It is also the belief, but that belief, that self-belief, causing our self-esteem to be tied to how much of the money that we make that is our own, is also a belief that then extends to other people. Walter White, I believe, is a heavy classist. I think that Walter White views charity as such a bad word because he has been so infected with this idea that he must make everything himself that when he looks at poorer people, when he looks at people who don't have enough, he looks at them and he says, "You're poor because you tried to do it yourself and you failed, and that makes you weaker." That is what that mindset lends itself to. The mindset of, I need to make everything myself, lends itself to, therefore, other people also have to make everything themselves. The success that I have is only my own fault. Therefore, it stands to reason that the failure of others is only their own fault, and no other factors are at play here. That is the thought of the brainwashed capitalism supporter. It is a thought that says, if successes are all my own, then failures are also all my own, and therefore successes of everyone else's are also failures of everyone else's fault as well. You're poor because it's your fault. That is how that mindset develops itself. So that's one of the other main reasons, one of the other main ways that capitalism has moved itself in as a thread. And then very obviously, even though just the existence of a market and trade is not capitalism inherently, it's about the means of production, the hierarchies that we see with like the drug lords and the workers and everything, there's a lot of like regular stuff there. But I think the main themes that are capitalist in nature are those two that I've mentioned. And that's it. He looks like a dead person. That is one hell of a sentence. Yeah. So yeah, that's the other theme that I was talking about. Yeah. And then I think I'm gonna handle one more topic. Although I'm not gonna move on. I'd rather let you guys talk about it. I disagree. With at least some people, very many thoughts are limited to yourself, not others. I do that. I'm a bad person, but if others do that, they're okay for some unknown to me reason. What's so interesting about that, Arachizi, is that I thought that as I was saying it. So I think it's a very good expansion onto that line of thought. Yes, there is a way that we think, like it. There's a very common expression: rules for me and not for thee. That we that we apply standards to ourselves that we would never apply to other people. So it's cool if other people get help, but not me. I've got to do everything myself. Unfortunately, I still think that it's capitalistic in nature, because if everyone thinks that, then, they're always looking out for themselves. And, as capitalism being inherently a selfish prospect, inherently profit-seeking, all of that kind of stuff. That's why I would say that. But I understand your disagreement, but I'm also looking at the way that Walter sees other people that he views as below his station. He views a lot of people that he sees as less than him with disdain. Disdain is a word that I would use to describe Walter White with the way that he treats other people. And again, especially those he deems below him for whatever reason. And I do think that part of that comes from, the capitalist mindset. I totally understand, though. I actually agree with you, though, to a great extent. I think Walter does operate on a rules for me but not for thee situation. I think that he does say, I'm supposed to do this, but I wouldn't hold that standard to other people because I'm somehow stronger. I'm the only one who can do it. I know me, but I don't know anyone else like it. I get what you're saying, and I'm with you. Yeah. Very cool, dudes. Very cool chat. Loving this conversation so far. I'm gonna give you some time just in case anyone is talking. Just in case anyone's typing up a comment before I move on to the next place. If you're not, that's fine. I'm not expecting you to. It's just stream has a delay, So I want to, accommodate that. Give me a second. Science, bitch. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm gonna take some time now. We're gonna talk about the last thing today, and that is the idea of empathy. Empathy is not the ability to feel bad for someone's situation. Empathy is the ability to understand, or at the very least, attempt to understand how someone else may be feeling when they are in a situation that you are not in, nor have you ever been in. Empathy, sympathy, is when you relate to someone's stuff, when you relate to what they've done. Empathy is when someone is in a completely different situation and you are able to still attempt to understand how they feel and attempt to give them charity and to treat them charitably and give them the benefit of the doubt when they do things and when they say things. Empathy is the ability to emotionally connect with other people's experiences that are specifically different from yours. So, empathy is a huge theme in the show Breaking Bad. Not only is empathy, not only are we challenged to have empathy for those that society teaches us are lesser people, like hectic drug addicts or sex workers, or note that I didn't say actually lesser people, because they're not, but to be clear, we are taught that they are of a rung lower than the rest of us. And what I mean by that is, again, drug dealers, people who engage in self-destructive behavior, murderers, thieves, etc., and also people like sex workers. And I think it's pretty obvious there's a distinction between people like drug dealers and sex workers and people like murderers, so it's very different. But there are various types of people that we are challenged to have empathy for in this show. I must say, I'm finding it a very interesting exercise to find the empathy for various characters here. I find that I have a lot of empathy for certain characters over empathy for others. For example, I have a lot of empathy for Jesse. I think that Jesse is a victim in a lot of ways up until this point in the show that I've watched. And I think that everyone around Jesse is constantly trying to control him or manipulate him in some way. And I have empathy for his situation because he is an addict who is that way. We come to him as an addict already. Like, he is already an addict when we are introduced to him. And it just causes incredible heartache for him. And addiction is not something that is easily escaped, So I feel a lot of empathy for Jesse as a character. The other character I feel a lot of empathy for is Skylar. We've talked about her before a lot, but I do think that Skylar is also a victim in a lot of situations. She tries to take back control in very interesting ways, very reactive ways, but in the same way, it is reactive because of the fact that she is a victim. So she still makes her own choices, but yeah. Other characters I feel empathy for, I think out of every single character in the show, the character I feel the most direct... The character that is... No, that's not true empathy. That would be sympathy. I think the character that I feel the worst for, not empathy, but the character I feel the worst for is Walter Jr. I think he's the only person in this whole show who has done nothing wrong. He's done everything right, and he's being punished constantly for reasons he does not understand. And I hate that. I hate that. When it comes to empathy, though, for characters for whom it is slightly more difficult to have empathy, the empathy for Walter White is understanding why he does things and understanding the situation that he's in. Empathy for Hank and understanding that he has an anxiety disorder and he probably has a lot of post-traumatic stress. Not the disorder, because I'm not going to diagnose anyone, but he definitely has a lot of post-traumatic stress and anxiety caused by the tortoise incident, that he has not dealt with. And I feel a lot of empathy for that because a lot of his decisions are partly because of that unresolved issue. I think that there are a lot of characters that we do feel empathy for sure. I feel empathy for Jane, and I'm really, really sad that she went out like she did because she was such an interesting character. She was a recovering addict, and I think that, unfortunately, she didn't seem to have anyone around her to support her constructively and not punitively when she relapsed. The first response when she relapsed was fear, like she had to hide the heroin, or that she had to hide the drugs and conceal, and then she lied and manipulated because she didn't feel safe and comfortable to open up about it. She felt scared of the repercussions because she felt scared of punishment. And I think that is maybe something that a lot of us can relate to. So yeah, there's a lot of empathy to go around, a lot of sympathy to go around, and I think it's always something that I lead with. When I watch a TV show, I'll never look at a character and go, well, I don't feel sorry for you at all. I will not attempt to emotionally connect with you and why your reasons exist. Like, I'll always be doing that. So, yeah. And phone just died. Did get pics for the update. We'll send later after I decide to charge phone. Okay, sick. Sick. So that's Breaking Bad. That is all I have to say about it for now. I'm going to finish it, hopefully soon. I don't think I'll finish it in this month, but maybe I will. Who knows? But I am really, 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 really happy with how it's going so far. I hope that the points that I've made are things that you've been able to understand properly and that you've been able to expand upon. I really like the show. I think that I can't wait to see how it develops. Season 3, episode 6 ended on an incredibly rough note, and I think I know how it ends, unfortunately. I have been spoiled about a lot of stuff that happens at the end of the show, and which characters, like, I don't know everything about which characters make it out and which characters don't, but I know about some of the main ones. I don't really let that affect my decision-making, but I'm watching the show as though I don't know it. And that's helping a lot, so, yeah. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. So yeah, that's Breaking Bad. I'll let you guys know on Discord probably when I get to the other episodes, but for now, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to another show that I watched very recently, and that show is Andor. But before we move to Andor, I'm going to move to chat so that I can... We're going to make this spoilers full show. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I think maybe having spoilers just in the cusp here would be quite cool. Yeah. Very unrelated to the discussion, just interesting how different people do different definitions. We were taught that empathy is feeling with someone and sympathy is feeling bad because of someone. There are lots of ways to define empathy. I think it's a complicated thing. It's a thing that people are constantly redefining. So I don't think that anyone's... I don't think necessarily you're wrong. So yeah, so you feel bad and that makes me feel bad. Let's solve this problem is sympathy, and you're feeling bad. Let's sit and feel bad together. Yeah, I think that's one of the better definitions of empathy that I use. Yeah, I think when I think of empathy, I think empathy is most important. Like I said, when it's a situation that you don't directly have, because when the reason I said that is because when someone else is in a bad situation that you've already experienced, you know that pain already. And so you're more inclined to engage with sympathy because you feel the same as they do. You understand that feeling. So that's why I mentioned that it's like, if someone's going through something that you haven't gone through yet, that is when empathy is really required. You know what I mean? But you are right. I think I always thought of sympathy as someone's in a hole and you're sitting on the top of the hole and going, damn, that sucks. And empathy is going into the hole and sitting with them and then helping them climb out together. To me, that is empathy. I really got to give this show and Better Call Saul another watch. Been way too long since I've seen it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch Better Call Saul, but this Breaking Bad has been really cool. 1 week out! Yep. That was the exact example we were given. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say that was wrong then. I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'll repeat again. The reason I talked about different situations is because that's when empathy is more needed and also more difficult. Yeah. Anyway. Although maybe that's more sympathy, like maybe our sympathy is challenged. Maybe it's our sympathy that is challenged for Breaking Bad rather than... I could be wrong. I actually think I might be more wrong than you. I think your definition is more accurate. Anyway, let's move on. This is Andor, a Star Wars series that is focused on the story of Cassian Andor, the main character here, the protagonist. Again, by no means a hero, he comes into his own and becomes a hero through this trial by fire that he endures across the series Andor and then ending his journey in Rogue One. This will be spoilers for the full show of Andor. And I'm going to talk about basically 5 main things about Andor, and then we'll say goodbye. So, for now, let's have a look. Same question for Andor. Do I have to have seen the show to get what's going on? When I talk about... Yeah, again, same thing as Breaking Bad. It would enrich your discussion potential, but you don't necessarily have to have seen it, no. If you understand Star Wars and what that's about, that will definitely enrich your discussion here. Highly recommend Better Call Saul. Takes a bit to click into place, but when it does, it's incredible. Makes Breaking Bad so much better retroactively. Oh, really? Interesting. Okay, I'll give it. Oh, I'll think about it. I've got a lot to watch, so. Okay, so first of all, I love Andor. I think it's really, really, really awesome. I think that the very much with the same, I have the same opener for Andor that I do for Breaking Bad, and that is that the plot design is really satisfying for me. I really enjoy the way that they've developed the story. It's not on the same level of complexity as Breaking Bad, but it doesn't have to be. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be at all. I think the way that it's done now is really awesome. Andor, from my impressions of Andor, are very interesting because Star Wars as a whole has been a show or a series of movies and TV shows that has largely been marketable to kids, to children. Star Wars came out as a children's movie with adult allegories that adults could be satisfied by as well, but more often than not, Star Wars has been advertised as something that is primarily for children. And the adults that love Star Wars, I would like to think that we understand that. It doesn't mean that we are children ourselves for loving Star Wars, because there's lots in there for adults. But I think that Star Wars on its own is very often a kid's show. Not this one, though. Andor, I think, while children over a certain age, I think maybe probably 13 and up could probably appreciate the show Andor. Below that, I'm not really sure. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. It depends on the kid. But Andor is something that is very adult in its source material. It speaks about revolutionary rhetoric. It is dark and gritty. There is unceremonious death and trauma, and there's some really adult subject matter, and there are adult themes in the show that I think is very interesting. And that's what makes a lot of people love Andor so much, is that so much of Star Wars that people maybe don't enjoy comes from the fact that it is that it might not appeal to you because maybe a certain part of the show that you're watching or the movie you're watching is designed more for children. And when you don't relate to that as much, you think, oh, this show is bad. It isn't. Good and bad are useless qualities when talking about whether you enjoyed a show or not. But it just wasn't marketed to you, right? But I think what's interesting about that is that all those fans that have lost sight of that fact, that it's primarily for children, are fed in Andor, because Andor is something that is designed a lot for adults. It talks a lot about more darker themes and more adult themes. So I think that's very interesting. I also think, based on my impressions of Andor as a whole, one of the most interesting and awesome parts about Andor is that there's no force. We are given a full and complete Star Wars story with no mention of the Force. Star Wars and the Force are such an inextricable thing. The Force is an energy field that suffuses everything. It absorbs, as Ben Kenobi says, it surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. It's an energy source, it's magic. And yet, even though the Force is moving in the characters in Andor, according to the mythos of Star Wars, we don't have to hear about the Force in order to have a compelling story in Star Wars. And that's where I think one of the most compelling parts of Star Wars lies, in that you can have something like the Force, and still, you don't have to allude to it once to make a great story within Star Wars, because Star Wars doesn't stand only on the Force. It stands on so many other plot points. It stands on so many other stories that can be told. Star Wars, I think, at its core, even though the Force is very important to it, Star Wars is not a story about magic. It's a story about hope, and it's a story about rebellion. That is the story of Star Wars. At its heart, it is a story about revolution and the hope that comes with that. Hope that sees the first sunrise after a tyrant's fall, for example. That is Star Wars at its core. And I think Andor really understands that. So I think it's really, really, really cool. It goes to the heart of what I think Star Wars is really about. But still, there are so many other types of stories you could tell within Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Star Wars should be only rebellion. I love all the different stories in Star Wars. I think they're awesome. But Andor, I think, really goes to the heart of what I believe Star Wars is to be about, story-wise, narrative-wise. And that's what makes me connect with it so deeply, as deeply as I do. So yeah, my first impressions, my general impressions about Andor are, those. That I think not only is it one of the main examples of Star Wars that is designed for not primarily children, but it is also something that is really at the heart of what the Star Wars narrative describes. And that is a story of rebellion and hope. Regular English swearing in Star Wars. Yeah, it's the first time we've heard swearing in Star Wars as well. That was pretty cool. One of my favorite tidbits about the show, Ben Bailey Smith, who is Lieutenant Supervisor Blevin. Oh yeah, Blevin. Was a kids' TV actor and stand-up comedian for 90% of his career, and he was on my screen every day for years. Really? Excuse me. Really? That's so crazy. When he was the lead adult in 2 different CBBC shows in around 2013 to 2016. Yo! That's so cool. He did great in Andor. Wow, man has range. How cool is that? Okay, so those are my general impressions surrounding Andor. One of the main points that I'm going to use as a segue is what I spoke about, how it goes to the heart of what Star Wars is about, which is rebellions, and we're going to talk about rebellions and revolutions. Andor is a story about rebellion, but it's not told from the perspective of a born rebel. It's told from the perspective of someone who is made into a rebel. So, of course, some of the other characters are rebels by the time we meet them, but Cassian is not. He just hates the Empire, but he's not interested in watching it fall. He just wants to steal from it. He doesn't think far enough to watch it fall. It's only by the end that he realizes, actually, I want more. I want more than just to flip a middle finger to the Empire as I steal their stuff. I want to bring them down. Because we see him through the course of the show, there are 3 distinct arcs. There is Ferrix, there is Aldhani, and there is Morlana 5. Morlana 1? No. The prison. I can't remember what it's something 5. Narkina 5. That's it. Narkina 5. Those are the 3 central arcs. And then obviously there's a conclusion at the end that ties all of them together. But through each of those 3 arcs, Cassian is subjected to all the lessons of oppression that the Empire teaches its subjects. And through that, Cassian is radicalized in different ways. In the Ferrix arc, he is introduced to the sort of on the ground consequences of the Empire. He is on the run. He is a criminal, etc. He's a murderer, and all that stuff. Following that, he then joins the rebels for the Aldhani job, which is in number 2. Number 2 is his first arc. 2 is the first time that Cassian really looks up and understands the people around him. He learns their stories. He meets Nemik, who has a really good who leaves a really good impression on him. Nemik is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars for good, like full stop. He is amazing, and the closest that I think we'll get to a real left-wing like theory reader in Star Wars. that Disney will allow. And I think that Cassian, in the Aldani arc, it's the first time that he really starts to understand the way that the Empire has impacted the culture of people and the oppression of the oppression of cultures and environments and the climate change that they've had on various worlds. So I think the Aldani, like what the Empire did to the Aldani people and why they are, they've set up a garrison there. Like Cassian really learns about that and understands it. And in the third arc for Cassian is the prison arc, where he is treated with imperial justice and put on trumped up charges because the Empire needs laborers to build the Death Star, and they are using slave labor from prisons, which should sound pretty familiar if you are at all familiar with the United States 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which also allows for slave labor in the year of our Lord 2024, perfectly legal and enforceable. Andor is then subjected to one of the most brutal parts of the Empire, and that is prison and prison labor. And that is, I think, the final thing that truly radicalizes him and teaches him people should know about this. There should be more than just sticking it to the Empire. It should be dismantling. And that is, those are the three arcs that Cassian goes through, to the extent that by the end of the third, during the conclusion at the end of the show, he goes to Luthen, the guy who hired him for the Aldani job, the seasoned rebel, and he says, "Kill me or take me in, because I'm ready for this." It makes me really excited for season 2 as well. So that's really cool. So, yeah. Rebellions and revolutions in Cassian is something that is really often referred to, but we also see the other faces of rebellions and revolutions. Luthen's speech, juxtaposed just before that with Nemik's manifesto being read to us as well. Nemik talks about, he perfectly describes the existence of imperialism and fascism as well, and how unnatural it is, and how it must be constantly maintained and self-justified, and how it must be maintained through force always, because people naturally resist that sort of control, that sort of attempt to control them. And the nature of rebellion that Nemik describes is that it is a war on a million fronts, because rebels are not organized as well as an empire is. They come at it from different angles because it's just people. They fight the empire at little points until eventually the dam collapses. And I think he really paints that picture really well. Combine that with then Luthen's speech, and we get a completely different face of a rebellion. Nemik talks about the ability of the common people to rise up against oppression when the pain of change is outweighed by the pain of staying the same. But Luthen's speech, when he talks about how I burn my decency for someone else's future, I'm paraphrasing, I didn't memorize it. I burn my life for a sunrise that I know I'll never see, and I know I'm damned for what I do. I use the tools of my enemy to defeat them, and he's talking about sacrifice. Luthen really highlights the darkest side of rebellions, the things that they have to do in order to just survive, the things that the system has forced them to take part in so that they can really overthrow them, the types of stuff that they have to do. And then another character, for example, Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera is a more practical example of Luthen. Saw Gerrera is the face of rebellion that is willing to do anything that he can, but in much less of a subterfuge way. Saw is a warrior. Saw Gerrera is someone who does not want to play the politics of the Empire, he just wants to burn it down. And rebellions need people like Saw. They really, really do. People with that kind of fire and passion. But Saw, I think, is more of a cautionary tale about how anger is not the be-all, end-all for rebellion. It's got to be compassion. And if there's one thing that another character has that I will talk about in depth because I really love them, is Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is another face of the rebellion. Mon Mothma uses her funds and her money to fund the rebellion secretly until eventually the Empire pushes her out and tracks down her money. And she continually has to make worse and worse choices to to make sure that the rebellion can survive on her end. But Mon Mothma is a very interesting twist on the idea of rebellion, because she herself is not ready to be a rebel yet. She's still very much a believer in the system. And I think that I think it's something worth talking about, which I will talk about just on the end. So yeah, rebellions and revolutions is a key point of Andor. It is a story about rebellion, amongst other things. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to bring up specifically, is that different characters show us different phases of rebellion. I could talk about so much about this show, so this is by no means a closed list. This is just stuff that I would like to talk about right now, but there's so much more that I could. So yeah. You know what? I think I'm running out of time, so there's one more thing that I will talk about, and that is Mon Mothma. I think Andor will be like a slightly shorter one. There's so much more I could talk about, but I don't want to end too late, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop soon. The last thing I'll talk about is Mon Mothma. As much as I love Mon Mothma's ideology is inherently flawed. Remember, she is a senator. She was a senator during the Republic. She was still a senator once the Empire took over. And remember, by the time of A New Hope, by the time of Star Wars Episode 4, the Empire has dissolved the Senate and turned the Empire into a full-on dictatorship. They've always found, since the beginning of the Empire, they always found that the ability of senators to make decisions to affect the government was a hindrance that the Emperor wanted to get rid of as soon as possible. And he would keep doing things without Senate approval that would make some waves and make people pissed off. So eventually he decided, I'm just going to dissolve the whole thing. It's fine. We're going to turn everything to regional governors and make everything martial and super fascist and imperialist. And that's what we see during the Rebellion era, the Galactic Civil War. But Mon Mothma, throughout this entire time, until that moment, Mon Mothma is a character I believe Mon Mothma's hope is inspiring and tragically misplaced. Mon Mothma is the character that has too much hope in the system once it has already failed. Mon Mothma, honestly, is like a United States Democrat supporter. Someone who still believes that the system as it is can still be used for good. When she is a senator, she uses her money to fund the rebellion and yet still tries to believe that rebellions can be won without bloodshed, that rebellions can be won by using the system to reform things. She can create new laws that overturn the old laws and create change within the system. We just need a new republic again. She takes all of that hope she had in the Republic and she puts it into the Empire, not realizing that the Republic's systemic failures led to the creation of the Empire in the first place. Mon Mothma's thinking is still individualistic. She's not systemic. She still thinks that the Emperor is the one standing in the way of peace, not imperialism and the flaws of the Republic that led to the creation of the Empire in the first place. She's a liberal. Mon Mothma is a liberal. And yeah, Alfred, you're correct. She does a literal feudal era move. Yes. At the end of the show, Mon Mothma ends up engaging in one of her home planet's older traditions, and she puts her daughter up for an arranged marriage at the age of 14, I think she is, because that is the old ways. Her daughter is a fan of them, by the way. It's not against her will. She asked for it, but Mon Mothma doesn't want to educate her child in that way. But she ends up making that decision so that she can hide her money from the Emperor, because that's the condition that was given to her. The benefactor that was going to move her money was like, I won't do it unless you put your daughter up for arranged marriage with my son. That's what he wanted. And she said no until she said yes. And I think Mon Mothma constantly creates situations for herself. She creates her own problems a lot of the time because she still likes to believe that the Empire is just going to roll over peacefully. and it's not going to crack down hard. One of the things that I found really interesting is that after the Aldani heist, when the Empire cracked down on so many innocent people, she and Luthen had a big fight. Mon Mothma said, I can't believe you did this. There's going to be so much crackdown now. The Empire is going to get so much more violent. And I'm watching this thinking, why is that Luthen's fault? Why is it not the Empire's fault for cracking down so violently on random people? Why is it the rebels' fault for fighting back? Why does the buck always stop with the rebels? The Empire engages in violence every single day. But when the rebels engage with something that is more overt violence, now it's a problem suddenly. And Luthen says, the Empire's going to crack down? Good. We need more of that. We need the Empire to squeeze and hurt as many people as much as possible because they're the ones doing it. And when they do it, more rebels are created. So he understands how it works. And Mon Mothma just doesn't in that sense. Only later. Only much later does she do it. But unfortunately, by that time, a lot of it is too late. I think Mon Mothma is a very inspiring character with her hope. And she does incredibly cool stuff. But she is also, at the end of the day, a liberal. And someone who does not realize that the system that she once served, the Republic, the only reason it led to the Empire was, among other things, it was fundamentally and systemically flawed. And she does not see that in the show Andor. So yeah. That's Mon Mothma to be. She's such an interesting character. And I love her. I love her so much as a character. She really, she is a necessary addition to the Star Wars, like, story. Definitely. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot more I could talk about this, but it's getting late. We could talk about Dedra Meero and how badass she is, and how incredibly chilling and scary the Imperial Security Bureau are, the ISB, the Empire's CIA, and how they talk about ruining people's lives and murder and espionage as though it's like morning tea. It's crazy. I think that's awesome. We can talk about how Cyril Karn is a complete incel and is radicalized in completely the other way. Cyril Karn falls down the alt-right pipeline for real, and then becomes enamored with Dedra Meero. We can talk about how patriarchy once again rears its ugly head with the way that he wants to possess her, the way that he admires her in a very objectifying kind of way. We can talk about Bix and the way that the Empire creates incredible victims of circumstance. We can talk about... Sure. We can talk about Kino Loy, who is the story of a man who, very much like Cassian, lives his life wanting to look after himself until he realizes the last hope that he had for himself is being ripped away, and then he realizes, actually, all I've got are the people around me. And I'm going to make sure they have a shot, even if I don't. And he makes the ultimate sacrifice in the end. There are so many characters that I could talk about in this show. I haven't even scratched the surface. If this discussion has caused you, if you have not watched this show yet, to want to watch the show, good. You should watch it. It is a very, very, very good show, in my opinion. I connected to it so deeply. I really enjoy it. And it's definitely... It's definitely earned its place within the Star Wars canon many times over. Hasn't Mothma been played by the same woman since the beginning, or did they replace her for Andor? Nope, it's the same woman. I think. Wait, no. Wait. I'm gonna confirm that. Mon Mothma actor. No. It wasn't the same woman. Excuse me. I'm wrong. I'm very, very wrong. It was Genevieve O'Reilly in Andor, but the original Mon Mothma was Caroline Blackiston in Return of the Jedi. That was her. Who was it in Rogue One? She was Mon Mothma in Rogue One. So she was cast at the time of Rogue One, and then she reprised her role in Andor as Mon Mothma. So Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma was Catherine Blackiston, and then Genevieve O'Reilly took over. She's Irish, and her natural Irish accent is amazing. Super cool. Very pretty. I think that'll be about it. That's almost 2 hours of full discussion. I have spoken a lot. I hope that the discussions have been enlightening for you. And I think we're going to end off there. If you have anything else that you would like to say, if you have anything more to add to the discussion, I urge you to join the Discord and continue that discussion. But for now, I really appreciate you being here. And prequel trilogy was also Catherine? Wait, did Mon Mothma? Oh, yeah, you're right. She was in the prequel trilogy. Hang on. Mon Mothma, Revenge of the Sith actress? It was Genevieve O'Reilly. So it was literally just... It was just Catherine Blackiston at the end. She was Mon Mothma in Revenge of the Sith, Return to the Role for Rogue One, 5 episodes of Rebels, and Andor and Ahsoka as well. Yeah, so so Genevieve O'Reilly is actually the main actor for Mon Mothma beyond the original, who played for 1 episode of Star Wars, and she had like 1 line. So yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, everyone, I'm gonna say goodbye. We're gonna say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here and for chatting to me about all these awesome shows. I hope that you've learned something from them if you haven't seen them. I hope that you've been able to connect with this analysis. I hope that I've been able to kind of inspire greater thought, and I've learned some stuff from you as well. I really appreciate all of the things that you've said too. Thank you so much for contributing. And we're going to say goodbye. So it is now 11:54. It's just on midnight for me. I'm going to go do a little bit of Sea of Thieves if anyone wants to join me for just a teeny tiny bit before I go to bed. Maybe like 30 minutes. And then then we'll see each other on Thursday. Thursday morning will be the next time we stream, and the next time we do it, I believe it will be... Ooh, what's it gonna be, MJ? It's music analysis on Thursday. So, thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate you all so thoroughly. Make sure you drink enough water. Be kinder to yourself than you're currently being, and I'll see you in the next stream where we do it all over again. Take care, everyone.